Welcome back, everybody. So excited to be with you today. It's Dr. Matt, and I'm going to be delivering this week's content. And I'm really excited for the content that we're going to be talking about this week. And it's just something so simple, and it's a concept that is just wildly overlooked, and is chiropractic is for everyone. Let me say that again. Chiropractic is for everyone. And you might hear that and you might hear me say it. You might say something like, "Of course it is. Duh. Yeah, of course." And some of you might say, like, maybe you have a question in your mind. You're like, even for babies? Um, and you might ask the question like, "Well, what if there's nothing wrong with them?" That's a typical response. And some of you might just be flat out thinking like, "Are you sure? I don't know." Well, then today's episode is for you. So let me ask the question. And this is based on a lot of responses that I've heard from people over the years, over my 11 years of practice. And a lot of people will say things like, "Man, I just feel so wound up. I just can't seem to calm down." Or some people will say, "Wow, I just feel exhausted. Like I feel terrible. Like I just have no energy." And some people are absolutely in a state of distress. They're shaky, their hands are shaking, and it's like there's no imminent threat, there's no immediate danger, yet they just seem to just be so shook up. And some people, I would say, are possibly even just, they just feel weak, and they feel like they're not themselves. They feel like they can't do things. They feel brittle, they feel unstable. They don't feel like they can do their daily life. Or there's the category that maybe they don't feel anything at all. They just feel nothing. They have no symptoms. Everything's status quo. Everything's quote unquote normal. They just go about their day. They go about their daily routines, their habits, with no thought to their health at all. And that's okay. But let me just tell you this, like, our bodies are subject to a continuous flow of stress. From birth to wherever you're sitting and listening to this today, stress never stops because the stressors never stop. So what's a stressor? What is that? These are the micro, these are the macro. These are the physical, the emotional, the chemical stressors that are continuously being processed by our body's autonomic nervous system. So that's what system is really just interpreting our environment, and it's actually encountering these stressors, again, the physical, the emotional, the chemical, and it's processing them. So our autonomic nervous system, or some people would say our automatic nervous system, is responsible for coordinating every single function that happens to our body. Now, whether that is a cut on your leg healing, whether that is digesting your food, whether that is your heart continuing to beat in a normal sinus rhythm, whether that is for you to be able to breathe in and out, whatever that system and process is, for you to walk, for you to just calm down after a big run, for you to de-stress after just a really rough work day, all of that is coordinated by our automatic nervous system, or our autonomic nervous system. So here's the problem. And this is what we're really just here to talk about today. The problem is over time, stress over time, let me say it again, stress over time ruins adaptation and slows down our healing potential. Because the human body can only take so much stress. Our system can only take so much stress. And stress is compounding over the years, over time. So the more stress that our system has to process, the more our system declines. And the result is a person or a child who's not able to heal, they're not able to function, they're not able to regulate, they're not able to adapt to their current environment well. So as people get stuck in this state of stress, I just call it stress stuck on, these are some of the symptoms that I just previously listed and how people generally feel. And sometimes, again, they feel nothing yet. And sometimes there's all of this, like, I'm just strung out, I'm stressed, I'm fatigued, whatever that may be. And when that happens, and their adaptation, their ability to heal, to function, to regulate and adapt goes down, this is what we see. We see people that are too stressed to heal. We see women that are strung out, and so strung out they can't conceive, they can't sustain life, they can't become pregnant, they can't hold a pregnancy. We see babies not hitting milestones. We see kids not able to roll over. We see kids not able to walk in a normal time frame, a normal expected time frame. We see children not able to focus in school. We see moms not sleeping. We see dads not present. We see parents exhausted and disengaged. And if you're thinking like, man, that's like America, you'd be right. If you're thinking like, wow, that's my family, maybe. And if you're like, that is 100% me, again, this is for you, because this is an important concept to actually understand, because otherwise we're just managing the effects of stress, meaning we're waiting for our body to decline so much that it creates a disease process in our system. And then we manage that disease process with a medication. We manage with a drug. We manage with a surgery. We manage with a shot. And unfortunately, there's no root cause to that. So the world's solution to what I just listed are depression meds, anxiety drugs, therapies, Adderall, sleeping pills for those moms that couldn't sleep, alcohol for those dads that aren't present, or maybe just simply scrolling through social media. And then you get the weekly screen report, right? And it's like, you've been on your phone 7 hours a day, every single day. And you're like, oh my goodness, how did I get here? The real solution is getting the big idea that the body can heal itself. It can actually heal itself as we work to remove what's interfering with that healing. I always tell our practice members, we work with the resident doctor within. You're like, well, what's the resident doctor within? What does that even mean? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Holy Spirit. That is the Holy Ghost. That is the resident doctor within. Guess what? The power that God put inside you knows way more than you do. It knows way more than me. It knows way more than any physician that has ever talked to you. It knows more than the best neurologist on the planet. Because again, there's no biohacking what God built. Simply put, it's above down, inside out, subluxation-based chiropractic care, because that's the only way to actually access the nervous system and remove interference in a sequential, pattern-driven, dynamic way to generate a completely different neuro outcome. So when you work with that resident doctor within and you work to remove stress neurologically, you follow, again, a lot of the principles that God has given us, like eating real food that He put here, detoxing our body in a specific way from all the man-made toxicity and junk and chemicals that are always so present in our life, and just truly, again, supporting that doctor within that knows exactly what we need, exactly when we need it. Now, again, let's go back to chiropractic. Let's go back to the chiropractic adjustment. It is the only thing that alters innate expression at the neurological level that allows the body to have a higher healing capacity. So let me say it again. When you get a chiropractic adjustment, there is, and this is why it's for everybody, because it's not about pain. It's not about low back pain, neck pain, headaches. It's not about any of those things. It is about altering that innate expression at the neurologic level, allowing the body to have a higher healing capacity. So once you find homeostatic balance and that higher healing capacity, your body has no choice but to heal. And that's the question that I ask people all the time, because everybody goes back to those initial questions that I mentioned in the beginning, where they're like, well, what about babies? What about if there's nothing wrong with them? I don't know. It just seems strange. Why would you be adjusted? Well, let's talk about it, right? So babies are born and they have a toxic load or toxic level of stress that was in mom and is transferred to baby. And that's the way that they enter the world. And they have a certain level of stress that's already there. And then birth is always just like one of those big first traumas that kids experience. And it can be a neurologic stressor. And some is more aggressive than others. Some is more medically intervened than others. And that creates more stress on the system, which creates that wound up or maybe even exhausted baby. So when you're born, your nervous system is already processing the stress of birth and you're processing the stressors that you encounter. So why wait to become symptomatic? Why wait for your body to decline so much neurologically that you actually get all of these symptoms? And why would you just not start to take care of the nervous system? Because it's your only one. You only get one nervous system. Why would you not just start to take care of it from birth? And then that goes along with that principle of like, well, what if there's nothing wrong with them? Well, people generally adapt into dysfunction and disease pretty slowly over time. Like the body is incredible. The body can put up with a whole lot before our system declines to a point where we get symptoms. So again, why would we wait for symptomatology to hit, even if we quote unquote feel okay, when we know that stress impacts our body's ability to function, heal, regulate, adapt? Why would we not work to remove those stressors as just a way of maintaining balance and homeostasis so that we can maintain our health? And if you look around America, guys, this is illustrated in everything you see. You know, and I don't mean to call out organizations, but Starbucks, right? You see Starbucks, it's not a coffee shop, it's a sugar factory. And, you know, the Frappuccinos have 100 plus grams of sugar, and we give them to our teenagers because it's like the popular thing to do for young teenagers now is to hang out at the coffee shop. You know, we've intervened in their whole life with antibiotics, vaccinations, and, you know, every drive-through is containing, we'll just say, a lot of additives in their foods. And then not to mention the local grocery store and all the packaged foods. All of these things work to disrupt homeostasis in our society. And our society's just got it so backwards because, man, oh man, we're just so focused on living quickly, living effectively, getting to the next task, you know, just punting the ball down the field, getting on with it. And we use a lot of these quick and easy decisions like eating fast food or just, I'll just take some over-the-counter medications to make sure I sleep well, take some NyQuil, or maybe it's getting bad, I'll just take an antibiotic so I can quickly just get back to feeling okay. But that's not health, and that's not long-term, like that's not longevity. So my questions to you guys this week are this. They're really simple. It's like, do you want to be your best every day? Do you want to be your best every day? Do you want your family to be at their best every day? And this includes your spouse and your kids. And if so, if the answer is yes, then get adjusted. Get adjusted in rhythm. Get adjusted on a plan that makes sense for the trauma that your body has acquired from all the stressors that you've seen. And get your family adjusted. You know, it just doesn't make sense to understand this principle and to only take care of the symptomatic person. This should be for families. This should be forever. This should be for a lifetime. So when you think about chiropractic, if you answered those questions differently, when I said chiropractic is for everyone in the beginning, I would just ask you to say, how do you feel about it now? Guys, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure being with you this week. Have an amazing week.